Dinosaur Man.
Hello and welcome to the Dinosaur Man podcast. I'm Andy Hughes. I'm here with Alex Hudson.
Incorrect.
I didn't do news and reviews, did I? But it's fine. It's been a while since we did one that's just news and reviews.
Okay. You don't want to take it again?
No.
You don't want to give the illusion of perfection?
No, it started. I like to give the true insight of imperfection.
Okay.
Like,
that's fine.
I don't want the audience to think that I ever take another run up at these things.
Okay.
Like,
that's fine.
What they hear is what we get.
That's fine. You don't have to justify yourself to me.
You seem upset by the fact that we're not.
I just know that you get very upset every time you try and do it and you do it wrong.
I've already done it now. It's fine. We started going.
Yeah, but you've already done it all the other times where you've told me you need to start that again.
Yeah, but it kind of flowed.
Okay.
We got there.
Well, it would have flowed better if I'd have run with it.
Yeah. Like, if anything, you've made this worse.
It's because I like to make sure that I pick you up on your mistakes. Never let you get too big for your britches.
Never let me get away with anything.
Well, I think that's a good life lesson in total, really.
Like, you follow me around just like pointing out all my flaws, like, your laces are untied. Like, it's the style, man. It's the style.
It's never been the style, has it?
It is the style, isn't it?
You think it's the style to have your laces untied?
Yeah, people do that. They have their Vans and their untied laces.
All right. Okay.
Their turned up flares.
Yes, okay, yes, all these outdated things. This is very funny stuff. Anything else?
Bomber jackets.
All these,
yeah.
All these puritanical hats that you wear, like the pilgrims.
They've all got their headbands from Claire's Accessories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, famously that was what drove them away from England in the first place. The fact that Claire's Accessories was a thing. If God had wanted us to wear Claire's Accessories, he would have born us with piercings. That's right, he would have born us with piercings.
But then Claire's Accessories can't make the money from their piercing service.
I didn't trust it.
You ever had your ears pierced?
No.
You look funny with an ear piercing.
Thank you.
I had.
Most people look funny with ears piercing.
I had mine done.
Yeah.
I've probably told this story on the podcast before. We've done so many episodes. All my stories are old now. When I was a child,
yes,
my brother got his ears pierced, and because he did it, I wanted it as well because I was that child. So he had his done, and I had mine done, and hated it instantly. But you had to keep it for like 5 days, otherwise it gets infected or something like that.
Right.
So now, like, if you feel my ear here, like, there's like a little ball inside it where it was pierced.
Yeah.
And that is the result of 5 days of me going, I don't want this anymore.
And that's also how the government are tracking you.
Yeah. Bill Gates put a chip in my ear.
Mm-hmm. You got a vaccination shot in your ear.
It's why I stormed the Claire's Accessories building.
Wow. Okay. Let's move on.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
We got stuff to talk about. It's a busy week.
I say that's where we've been away. We haven't.
No, it just feels like these are the episodes where we feel like we're talking live to them.
Mm-hmm.
Special episodes, it feels like we're talking to each other.
I hope you all enjoyed the last episode, guys. We enjoyed making it.
I didn't. Oh. I actually found it tiresome. I was sitting there going, when will this end? Sorry, I was just reading one of the reviews of last episode.
Really enjoyed doing that. And thanks again to Paul for coming along and looking at the films of 2020.
Is that our 5th year in a row we've done it?
I think we've done it pretty much every year that we've been going.
Films of 2015, films of 2016, films of 2017, films of 2018, films of 2019. 6th year?
6 years.
Fuck me.
Wow.
We need to stop this podcast ASAP. ASAP Rocky.
Yes, okay.
Full name, as soon as possible, Rocky.
Yep.
Then ASAP Ferg. Full name, as soon as possible, Ferg.
Yep. Well, actually, his surname is Fergalicious. Like the album.
But first name is as soon as possible. Interesting, isn't it?
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
That's it.
We are
no reviews this week, just that.
The only podcast in the world that talks news and reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I've just looked. There is no world news this week. Like, none at all.
I don't know anything that's happened this week.
Apparently there is some movie news, and that's it.
Well,
but as we are ones to talk about political events, I checked and there is nothing.
Can I say this one thing? Everyone already saying, 2021's worse year than 2020. It's 51 weeks of the year left, guys.
It's got so much more to
Could
give.
get good.
Yeah, what if, like, second month of 2021, everyone gets a free llama?
Now's probably not the time to do this, so I'll leave it for another time.
Is everyone getting a free llama a good or a bad thing?
What?
Like, everyone in the world gets a free llama.
Who says?
Like, that's the positive news of this year.
Is this a real thing?
No, but imagine it what? Basically, you said, still so much of the year to go, and I said, something good could happen, like everyone gets a free llama, and that was the first thought I had. But then I thought, but actually, is that a good thing? Because imagine, how many people on Earth? 7 billion?
I think it's more like 8 almost now, but yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
Call it 8 billion.
Yeah.
That means there's 8 billion llamas as well.
Okay.
And every single person has one.
I don't
and
think
some
that
of those
can be
people
true.
are children. How will they know how to look after a llama? And some of them are like
surely
really old.
It remains your
some of them
parents'
are like
responsibility or surely you shouldn't get one until you are X and...
Blanket rule. Everyone gets one.
It's a stupid rule.
Well, President of the world put it in place.
Who's that?
I don't know. Who's most likely to... Kanye West becomes President of the world.
Oh, God.
Gives everyone a free
fucking
llama.
jump to Mars at that point.
So imagine, like, there's a knock on your door.
Okay. Kanye West is there with a llama.
And he's like, hey guys, it's me, Kanye West. And you're like, oh,
I tell him
this is strange.
to keep his llama.
And he's like, oh no, I can't.
This is a breakup thing for him. I think he's breaking up with his wife, the Kardashian.
Yeah. Like, this is like...
This is a coping mechanism.
But he's there, and there's a llama that has your name attached to it. Like, has it like shaved into its fur. One that has mine shaved into its fur. And he's like, here are your llamas.
I'd kill the llama.
You'd go, I don't think I can accept this. Thank you, Kanye.
Llama stew.
But I don't think I can accept this. And he goes, oh no, you have to have it.
Llama stew. I'd kill it.
Where would we even keep them?
The freezer.
You can't just kill your llama, because when you kill your llama, a chip goes off and they bring you a new llama.
You kill your llama, you kill yourself. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street rules.
What was your
if
point?
If you die in
your
dreams, you're dying for reals. What
was the point you were going to make before you said I shouldn't say this?
Should we just get on with it?
That wasn't what you were going to say.
I think it was. Oh no, I was going to get into something. It's not the time or the place because I've realised people don't want to hear me on this podcast talking about actual life events.
What if they do?
Well, then they've come to the wrong place. Well, okay.
Where's our political podcast?
Then that's what our Patreon's going to be for.
Guys, would you pay for a Patreon to hear us talk about actual real world stuff?
So I think basically what I'm declaring now is if we do start a Patreon, which we might, I'm not going to say we are, but also
Maybe.
we have, and I am subscribed. But if we did, maybe one a week, one extra episode a week
of just us talking about world events.
Well, just like maybe just stuff. People wouldn't like that. People would find that horrible.
Guys, if you love this chaff right at the beginning of this podcast, and you're like, oh, I want like a 60 minutes of
Well,
that.
I've cancelled gaming news. I didn't tell you this, but gaming news is out the podcast now.
No, it's still continuing.
You're doing your, like, what you've been playing.
Yeah, but we're still doing gaming news. Everyone comes here for gaming news.
Okay.
And if we've got no gaming news, I'm putting the microphone down and I ain't doing anything.
It's going to be a short podcast. I said it's going to be a short podcast. It's already lengthy as fuck. That's fine. You put it down. You put it down. There's no gaming news anymore.
I'm on strike.
Okay. Andy's gone on strike because he doesn't think that we should neglect no one comes here for gaming news.
Our most popular segment.
No, just weirdly, the only segment your brother seems to care about.
Hey, there's been 2 people who've told me that they love gaming news, and that's more than anyone's ever told me about the reviews.
What? No, that's not true. Everyone loves our reviews. They love our in-depth knowledge of, I don't know, whatever movie we saw. Anyway.
So obviously, guys, we will talk movie reviews today. What will we be reviewing, Alex?
We're going to review...
See, you've lost it now.
We're going to review Soul. We're going to review Wolfwalkers. We're going to review Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. We're going to review The Midnight Sky. And we're going to review Wonder Woman 1984. Well, more importantly, I'm going to review a couple of those. Andy's going to review Wonder Woman 1984, and then we're all going to review the other two.
All. That includes you guys.
All of us. Yeah, join in.
Before we get to movie news... Well, before we get to movie reviews, we must go to movie news. Before we get to movie news, first we must go to gaming news.
Oh, hang on. Let me just find the theme tune here. Oh, it's been stolen. Oh, it looks like Wario came in and stole it.
Oh, that cheeky Wario.
Right, Wario's stolen all of gaming news. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Andy, I've got a quiz for you.
So what news is that?
I've got a quiz for you.
Is it gaming related?
No.
Well, guys, we can't get past this point.
Yes, we can.
Guys.
We're stopping gaming news. There's no point in gaming news.
Why have you brought this up on the podcast? Why didn't you pre-warn me like this?
I did. I've told you many times that we should cut
ignore
gaming news. You just presume that I'm pulling a fast one on you. Today, I actually have pulled that fast one.
So, what gaming news did you have?
All right, I've got a quiz for you.
Nintendo 64 quiz, yeah?
So, I got the top 10 highest grossing movies in the UK box office of 2020.
Unless this is about Sonic, I don't understand how this fits into this category of gaming
Sonic
news.
might be on here. Fine, this is gaming news then because it's got Sonic on it. Okay, so there are 3 films on this list that were released in 2019, but the receipts from the tickets in 2020 were still enough to get them onto the list. Can you tell me what the box office top 10 in the UK in the year of our Lord 2020 was?
Okay, so UK releases.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's 3 that were released in 2019.
When was Star Wars released?
Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, 9th place, 11.4 million.
Spider-Man.
Which Spider-Man?
Far From Home. Was that released in...
Came out in, like, July.
I was thinking, like, what Marvel film came out at the end of the year?
None.
Because I was like, oh, maybe that carried them over.
That was the last one. That was in, I think, actually June.
Okay, Bad Boys for Life will be on here.
Bad Boys for Life is number 4 with £16.2 million.
Harley and Quinn's out and The Emancipation of Harley and Quinn's out.
No, not on here.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Number 2, £19.3 million.
Okay. 1917.
Number 1, £43.9 million.
No, that wasn't big enough.
There's no wrong answer. Well, there
Parasite
are wrong.
is wrong, so...
Parasite, £12.1 million, 8th place.
The New Mutants.
No, swing and a miss.
Tenet,
3rd, £17.5 million.
Okay, how many of us have got to go?
So you're missing 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of which were released in 2019.
Okay, so what else came out in 2019?
Comedy movie at the end of the year.
Cats.
Comedy movie.
I laughed a lot.
Intentional comedy movie. You saw it in the cinema? I saw it on a plane.
Jumanji,
The Next Level, 11 million in 10th place.
Okay. What else? Richard Jewell.
Yeah, Richard Jewell, 4th for £50 million. No, not Richard Jewell.
What else? Onward.
No. Okay, I'll go.
Fantasy Island.
So one of them you caught up with recently with your dad, I think.
Oh, The Gentleman.
£12.2 million, 7th place.
Interesting.
And then in 6th place, 2019 movie. I saw it. It was nominated for Best Picture. You didn't see it, and it was the one
Little
you didn't
Women.
see. Little Women. £15.3 million. And in 5th place, a movie that I saw and you didn't see,
Okay.
released in January. Terrible movie. 5th highest grossing movie in the UK of 2020.
Terrible movie that I didn't see.
I saw it, you didn't see it. It's an inexplicable movie. I don't know why it was made.
Not Atomic Blonde.
No. Also, you saw that, and also that was 2017.
I didn't see. Oh, I'm thinking.
You're thinking of Bombshell.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Bombshell.
Yep. I thought you were just stuck in a time loop where you went back to 2017 and went, that sounds like...
Spider-Man Homecoming? Okay, what about...
Citizen Kane.
Mank? Was that a clue?
No. I'll give it to you now. Terrible movie. Awful movie.
Awful movie. but I didn't.
Like in my bottom 2 of the year still.
Doolittle,
£15.9 million in 5th place.
made all its money back from its, £150 million budget.
What a terrible year. The Doolittle is number 5. Big win for Sonic. I think we've all got to say that. Sonic, wow. He's the big winner of last year.
He collected all them golden coins.
Bong Joon-ho and then Sonic. Those are the 2 winners of 2020.
Sorry, did you not hear that?
No.
I think it was a dog,
Okay.
but it also sounded like an old man screaming at the sky.
Well, the good news is I don't think it picked up on the thing, so there's only that weird silence now where I looked over at you looking at the wall. Did you think there was a dog in the wall?
It sounded like it was in the wall.
Dog in the wall! Okay, moving on. Let's do this.
Thank you for that great gaming news.
Look, I don't know. It was something, wasn't it? Hey, Wonder Woman 1984 came out, and now Wonder Woman 3 is in the works. I think this was inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it got confirmed.
Yeah, it got confirmed on the release. Fast track development on another installment in the DC Comics franchise, with Gal Gadot returning to star as the title heroine and Patty Jenkins back to write and direct. The concluding entry in the superhero trilogy. Yeah.
I think
we'll fucking see about that.
Basically, Wonder Woman 84 did well enough for HBO and Warner Bros. To be able to commission a third. I also wouldn't be surprised if this was kind of a thing to kind of smooth over the fact that it was going straight to streaming.
Probably.
Like, they kind of went, oh, yeah, don't worry, you'll be getting Wonder Woman 3 out of this, though.
Yeah, it will. Well, the movie will have a traditional theatrical release. How do you know that? We might be stuck like this forever. As fans around the world continue to embrace Diana Prince, driving the strong opening weekend performance of Wonder Woman 1984, we are excited to be able to continue her story with our real-life Wonder Women, Gal and Patty. What a terrible line. Who will return to conclude the long-planned theatrical trilogy. Long-planned.
Long planned.
It's always been a trilogy. Okay, so that's going to happen.
Back this time.
I'm sure. Well, don't spoil how they do it in this one, even though I'm pretty sure I know already. Because I'm still yet to see it. I'll see it when it comes out on digital. $16.7 million opening from North American theaters in its opening weekend. I mean, for pandemic times, that's a big plus. And yeah, we'll see. We will see. What else has happened? Hey, Ray Fisher.
Yep.
What's going on with this guy? So Ray Fisher has been written out of The Flash and has continued to wage a war of, tweets mainly, against various people involved in Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Because
he feels like the investigation that was performed was not to his satisfaction, certainly. Tweeted on December the 30th, Walter Hamada, who was heading up the DC stuff. Is he still heading it up? I think. Okay. Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and Warner Brother PR's failed September the 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. So he's been written out of The Flash.
Yeah.
So...
And then his solo movie is being cancelled as well, apparently.
Yes.
Now, I don't really know what's happened here. Like, all I know is that Ray Fisher has been very angry for a long time now.
Yes.
But I don't really know kind of the ins and outs. And, he could be fully justified. It seems like, I think Jason Momoa's come out and said stuff about it before, and others. But it also seems like what is actually happening here. Like, in terms of, if there are genuine concerns, what are Warner Brothers doing about it? And if there aren't, why is this not being kind of closed now?
Who knows? No one's got any real ideas about it anymore.
But here's my thing, do you actually know what the real crux of the issue is here?
I think, basically, the reason that Ray Fisher called for this investigation was specifically into not just Joss Whedon, but also some executives at Warner. And they've concluded that the investigation is over and they've closed it down and nothing is to be done about it. Clearly he's upset with this because he feels like there is some personal wrongdoing here and he feels personally affronted by it. Without being on the inside, no one really knows. All we know is that I think Ray Fisher is basically, he's saying, well, I don't want anything to do with your company anymore. So me being in Justice League will be the last time I'm going to be doing anything for you.
And I do feel for him in a way because, this was a guy who came from stage, relative obscurity to be in one of what was supposed to be one of the biggest films of all time, was kind of promised the world, and then it's all kind of fallen apart. Yeah. And I don't think that's kind of his fault, really. I think the entire film was just, garbage.
Well, I mean, it is one of the biggest films of all time in that it's been released twice in 3 years, so that's impressive. So that's that. Who knows? The Suicide Squad is going to be R-rated. That's another thing I just remembered. Which I think
before we do that.
It was only confirmed last week. Cary Elwes has joined Guy Ritchie's spy thriller Five Eyes with Jason Statham.
And Aubrey Plaza, I believe.
This will be fun, probably.
I like Guy Ritchie. Also, I have this endearing love for Cary Elwes, and I think it's because I saw Robin Hood Men in Tights at a very young age. And it was like a film I watched so much of, so I always just want to see him do good stuff. Like, even though I probably haven't seen much of what he's done apart from that, like, I've never seen Princess Bride.
Right.
But in my head, I'm there like, yeah, he's my Robin Hood. I want him to do well.
But you saw Saw?
Yeah.
There you are. You've supported him his entire career then. And you saw him in Stranger Things?
Yeah, is he?
I think he was the baddie in Stranger Things Series 3, wasn't he?
Was he?
I think he was involved in the mall or something like that.
Maybe.
I mean, he was in it.
Was he?
I'm sure he was. But he was in something.
I'm sure you're right. He's in Stranger Things at some point, or he's going to be in Stranger Things. But
maybe he's going to be in Stranger Things.
Season 4.
No, I feel like we've already seen him. Let me find out. Find out. Cary
I
Elwes.
remember clearly, yes, there's something about Cary Elwes and Stranger Things. But I also do not remember seeing him at all.
Okay, well, let's find out. So, as a, not writer, actor. Okay, yep. When did Stranger Things 3 come out? Well, he was in 5 episodes as Mayor Larry Klein in 2019. So, wow. I'm going to tell you now, I remember everything.
I don't remember much of Series 3.
You also saw the one episode of Workaholics that he was in.
I have no idea what that is.
Workaholics ran for 6 years. That seems implausible. I'm sure it's very good. I've never really watched any of it. It's like a sitcom-y thing with what's his name from Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Not Zac Efron.
No, Adam Devine. Yeah. He was also in 6 episodes of Family Guy. So there you are.
There we go. That's your Cary Elwes news, guys.
Jesus. I mean, it's a career.
Hey,
it's a career.
He's doing all right.
He was in the Black Christmas remake. Didn't see it. Did not see it. Okay. So that's happening. That's filming in Qatar and Turkey this year. Nice holiday if you can get it. Some of us are stuck with COVID. Okay, Alex Garland is reteaming with A24 for his new movie set to star Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. So this is his return to directing after... What was it? Annihilation was his last feature, and then he had Devs this year. So it's called Men, and it is... Garland is writing the script as well. Scott Rudin, who produced the previous projects, is returning as a producer. So it could well be interesting. Young woman,
some really, really good stuff.
Yeah, young woman who goes on a solo holiday to the English countryside after the death of her ex-husband. Yeah, I'd be interested to see this. I'm a big Alex Garland fan.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And Jessie Buckley's fantastic. And she was the best thing about I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Anyway, moving on. We don't have enough time for everything today.
Let's keep this train a chugging.
Godzilla vs. Kong.
Can't wait.
Warner Brothers and Legendary are now nearing a deal about the film's release.
Mm-hmm.
Talks are ongoing between them and between those two parties for June as well, but everything coming out of the camps is actually very positive, and Legendary are apparently quite happy with how it's coming along in terms of their breakdown.
Great.
So these lawsuits that were going to be coming may not be coming.
I suppose this is best for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If it can just be agreed without having any kind of legal battle.
Yeah.
Because that's only going to be damaging towards everything.
Yeah.
Like, if they could do something without having to go through some kind of litigation,
mm-hmm.
then it's only going to be more beneficial. I just kind of really want to see what this film looks like now. Like, I still haven't seen the trailer or anything for it. And I'm very interested to see how this all kind of shapes up.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Like, even though I didn't like Godzilla King of Monsters,
mm-hmm.
like, I'm still excited to see what they do with this.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I mean, I won't see it, but, I agree with you that you liked the first one.
Yes.
And
I
you
like Skull Island.
Liked the images in the second one.
Yeah. These are true.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the film's official Twitter account has teased one thing we can expect, and it hints at more of Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099.
So this is Oscar Isaac?
Yes, voiced by Oscar Isaac in a brief end credits sting. O'Hara is a geneticist living in future New York whose attempts to recreate Spider-Man's abilities leads to his own DNA fusing with the teenager. That's terrible. With the teenager web-slinger's DNA. Teenage web-slinger's DNA. Come on, Empire, get it together. So, yeah, apparently they're going to be pushing him into the story in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he can warn us about any future shit that's going to go down before 2099.
Well, it would be interesting because, obviously, Into the Spider-Verse basically worked as a Miles Morales origin story,
mm-hmm.
and introducing people who weren't aware of Miles Morales into that character and his kind of how his story is. So it would kind of be interesting if they did the same thing but for Spider-Man 2099, because he's another fan favorite character. It's a character that people love, and if you kind of had, you still have like Miles Morales and stuff in there as like these side characters, but you focus on him
mm-hmm.
and give us his origin and stuff like that. It'd be a very interesting way of doing these films.
Yeah. So that is still due to come out on the 7th of October 2022,
mm-hmm.
barring any future delays. Rubik's Cube movie.
Yeah.
Hyde Park Entertainment Group and Endeavour Content are teaming for a big feature take on the famed global selling toy. Terrible. Basically, they're making a movie about the invention of the Rubik's Cube.
Are you excited about that? Like, I know you love Rubik's Cubes.
I am willing to believe that it could surprise me and be very interesting. But this is exactly how I think they made a Rubik's Cube. Someone looked at a cube and went, imagine if there were little cubes inside it. Wouldn't that be cool? And then we could time people to complete it. Yeah, that would be fun. What would we call it? My name is John Rubik's.
It was like, I need to create something that Will Smith can do very quickly to make himself look very smart. What can we do? And they're like, well, I got this cube with lots of colours on it and like perfect.
So you think it was invented for Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
Interesting. I actually don't think it was. I think it was invented for Alfonso Ribeiro.
But he just couldn't do it.
He was actually the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, by the way. Those two roles were supposed to be the other way around.
Oh.
Yeah. But turned out that Will Smith couldn't dance to Tom Jones.
So was Jeffrey and Uncle Phil.
Yeah. The butler owned the house was the weird thing. It was all about this posh English butler who bought a house.
Had an American butler.
Yeah. But the butler was a judge. That was the weird thing. The butler he employed was also a judge.
He just went around cleaning his house, and he had this guy who came to his house every day and then went off to be a judge.
Yeah. So he owns the house, Jeffrey, obviously. And the pool house. What a dream that would have been. Live in a pool house, yes please. The only 2 sitcoms that have ever done pool house living, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's it. So Jeffrey was the owner of the house, and he was a butler, and he buttled all day. And then he came back home to find that his house had been cleaned by his own butler, who was also famed judge, Uncle Phil. Was his name Philip Prince? Is that... No, Banks.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think it was kind of an unofficial sequel to Mary Poppins?
Well, Tyra Banks was one of the kids.
I think the show was created by Tyra Banks. Hang on, let me just check here. Yeah, it says here, Tyra Banks, co-creator.
Lloyd Banks, is that a person?
No, it says here, co-creator with the Bank of England.
The Monopoly Man. As we all know, he is the owner of the Bank of England.
Missed a trick, didn't they, with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air by not casting Prince as the Fresh Prince? I suppose then it would have been the fresh artist formerly known as Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, the problem is there was that litigation because Subway had already cast him in their adverts as the Eat Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay, good. It was a short episode this week and now it's long. Any more for any more? I think we'd leave it there. We had some fun. Okay.
Rubik's Cubes. Woo.
I don't know. It's basically a non-story at the moment.
Well, I saw an article where they said the way it's being pitched is people going, no one thought chess would be cool, but look at Queen's Gambit.
Well, I read an article. Here's the thing, I read an article. Google search results for how to play chess are at a 9-year high.
Amazing.
Chess on chess.com or something, a thing where you just play a simulated chess game, for up 5 times in terms of the activity on that. So the book has become a #1 bestseller 34 years after its release or something.
She's done well.
It's crazy.
So chess.com, that app.
Yeah.
Right? So when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was so cool.
That's a story about you getting groomed on a chess simulator.
As a kid, I used to go to chess club.
Yeah.
Because I had no friends, and it gave me something to do at lunchtime. And basically, I used to play chess against my granddad a lot. And I had like a glass chess.
Did you bring him to school every day?
Yes.
It's my show and tell. It's an old man.
But basically, I'd go for chess club like at lunchtimes. Yeah. Because I wanted to have friends.
Yeah.
And then I'd go back to my nan and granddad after school, and I'd normally play a game against my granddad. So I used to be quite good at chess.
Yeah.
I downloaded that app last year, I think.
Okay.
In a thing going, I might play a game of chess. Like, I'm not playing in ages.
If I know you,
I
this
played
has
against
not been
someone
touched.
random, and I was destroyed. Like, within 5 minutes, I just lost. And I literally just went, I won't be playing that again. Apparently, I am bad now.
But what's weird is their username was A. Taylor Joy. She was rehearsing.
It was the famous chess playing computer. What's it called? Blue?
Deep Blue?
Deep Blue.
No, that doesn't work. I was going to do Deep Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die, but I don't think that's a thing. Weird Al, if you want it, you can have it. Okay, moving on. Let's do some reviews.
So I just got a text from Weird Al Yankovic. No thanks.
Stop doing my shit, man. That's right. That's how he sounds. Remember that Tiny Desk concert that Weird Al did? It's really bad. Do you... no one wants to hear your original compositions.
Yeah.
Do fat or eat it. A lot of food-based stuff for him. That's what I like about him.
He's a parody king.
He's a hungry boy. Clearly. You're always thinking about food, that boy.
When are they doing the biography of Weird Al?
Weird Alan Yankovic was born... Oh, wait, hang on. So that implies that his first name really is Weird.
He was born holding an accordion.
The mother of a squeeze box? I'm thinking of Mama's Got a Squeeze Box.
Daddy was a juice box.
And together, the two boxes made an accordion baby. Born with a full head of hair. He was already weird when he was a baby. Maybe that will be it.
He was born. His first words were Mozart, more like Mo Fart. You think I've got stuff to review today? Yeah.
Okay, so if we do start a Patreon,
Yeah.
we have one a month where we write Weird Al Yankovic's unofficial autobiography. I suppose you could just call it biography, because we're writing it.
Every week, or every 2 weeks, because we need time to write. Like, we'll just write another chapter to the Weird Al story.
Yeah. Unauthorized autobiographies.
Yeah.
They always seem more exciting, because it's like, there's some juicy stuff in here that the family don't want you to know.
Salacious shit in here.
Yeah, like, he really got around a bit, and, he was getting mad action in the 70s. Anyway.
So, guys, if you want that Patreon, let us know.
That's probably our best idea for a Patreon episode. I think we could do that.
Maybe this is the year. By the end of the year, we'll finally have a Patreon.
That's maybe just what we turn this podcast into: the Weird Al Yankovic unauthorized biography. Okay, so reviews. Wow, what a day this has been already.
You want to start with one of yours?
Yeah. Well, I was going to, but then I just realised I really need a drink, so I'm going to start with mine.
I don't watch your future, by the way. I saw The Gentleman, like, almost a year after it came out. Me and my dad watched it. Really enjoyed it. So it's a Guy Ritchie film that came out earlier this year, basically about British gangsters and the marijuana empire run by Matthew McConaughey. I know some people weren't that warm on it, but I actually really enjoyed it. Like, I think it's a lot of fun. It reminded me of, like, classic Guy Ritchie. And it was almost comforting in the sense of, I know what I'm going to get here. Like, this isn't anything special.
Yes, and when I reviewed it, I basically described it as, if your tolerance for Guy Ritchie films is high, then you will enjoy it.
It was like having a comfort meal.
It was a return to form, but I think his form is patchy at best. But it's like it's not rock and roller, thank God. But I don't know. It felt fine. Yeah, I described it as pure middle of the road.
It was comfort food. It was like, I know what this meal is, and I like it.
Weird that you're describing it as food. You must have got hungry from watching all those marijuanas. Interesting. The Midnight Sky. So this is on Netflix now, directed by George Clooney, based on the 2016 novel Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. So the story is George Clooney is a scientist based in the Arctic Circle. After a global catastrophe, he's decided to remain as the one remaining person at this outpost. When's it set? 2049, I feel like. Yes. And he's decided to stay at this outpost because they've got various different spaceships and space stations out there that are still yet to contact them since the event, whatever this global catastrophe was. And he wants to warn them not to come back to Earth. And there's two storylines going on. There's one between George Clooney and a child who he finds stowed away in the outpost after everyone else has left. And the other is the group of space explorers and scientists who are on the spaceship returning from a trip to Jupiter, a habitable moon near Jupiter that they've decided might not be perfect for them, so they're returning home with the bad news that, we can't go and live there, but also the world is on fire. So, it's very... I mean, look, there's a lot of sort of post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic science fiction stuff out there. And this feels very much like it's trying to do something similar to... what was that movie? Cloverfield Paradox, weirdly. Is that what I'm thinking of? I think I am. Or maybe I'm just thinking of the David Oyelowo collection. Anyway, either way, it feels like what they've tried to do is create this band of sort of astronauts who are... they've all got their own thing that they're committed to doing, and this is what this guy's about, and this is what this guy's about, and they all get a bit of screen time, and Felicity Jones is good, David Oyelowo is good, Damien Bashir is good, Kyle Chandler's good, but it's just a case of there is a lot of sort of tried and trusted ground here, and it doesn't feel like it's particularly doing anything that you haven't seen before. There is a sort of thing that happens in it that I had predicted right from the beginning.
Someone goes space crazy.
And then when it happened, I was like, yes, of course. I mean, it's fine. It's very predictable, I think, and it's very sort of... I don't know. I think they're told well enough as individual stories. I don't know if they really work together, but they do sort of a good job of what they're supposed to do. But if you're going in here looking for something that's new and exciting, I don't think you're going to find it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for that, so that'll do, Pig. It kind of gets the job done, but I don't know if it's a job that needed to be done again.
Okay.
But it's fine. It's on Netflix. Go and watch it if you want.
I saw it, like, advertised or something, but it doesn't really pull me in. I thought it looked fairly, I'll be honest, fairly bland.
Wow.
And it just didn't really do much for me. So I didn't bother watching it.
Talking about bland...
And I didn't realise you'd watched it.
I don't know if there's another bland thing coming up. Maybe. Let's do... What should we do next?
Dealer's choice.
Okay, I'll do Wolfwalkers as well before we move on to the other stuff. So Wolfwalkers, so this is the latest animation from Cartoon Saloon, who are the Irish-based company who did Song of the Sea in 2014-15. So the story is a young girl and her father are sent to Ireland. So the father is a hunter who is tasked with hunting down wolves who are living in the forests that they're needing to chop down to expand their sort of agricultural industry. Mm-hmm. And it's a story where this girl then goes and finds this wolfwalker who is a girl when she's awake and a wolf when she's asleep, essentially. It's a Irish folktale thing. And sort of learns to respect that tradition and learns to respect nature and the wolves themselves. And it's, it's really nicely done. It's really well animated. I think it's well performed. The story is it's sort of classic fairy tale-y or folklore-y stuff where it feels like you're getting something that does have that degree of magic to it. That I think maybe you can only really get with animation in a way. There's something about animation that allows you to get involved in that kind of thing, that kind of magic, certainly, in a way that maybe you can't with traditional filmmaking. Anyway, it is really good, and I think Cartoon Saloon are a company who have a very high threshold for quality.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about another company today who are going to, are relatively similar in the same way that, you always feel like you're going to get minimum a really great animation out of it. And it's just a case of whether but with Cartoon Saloon, it is a case of just their stories are really good and really well told. And it does feel like proper, it's proper storytelling as well as really great animation and really beautiful score. I think it's great. It's on Apple TV Plus. Mm-hmm. It came out in the cinemas, I don't know, about 6 months ago, actually. So it's technically an I Don't Want Your Future, I guess. But it's on Apple TV Plus now.
Yeah.
I would recommend. It's called Wolfwalkers.
Yeah. I think I said this on the View of 2020, but I saw the style, and it looked very Ghibli-esque.
Yeah.
In terms of animation. And it's quite nice to see kind of other people adopting that kind of, like, it almost has a hand-drawn quality to it. Mm. The big question is, though, is if you fell asleep, what animal would you want to turn into at night? Oh, he's thinking. He is thinking. Any animal at all. Like, you fall asleep.
A goose.
The moment you fall asleep,
Night goose.
The dickheads of the animal world.
No, I'd become a vigilante.
Oh.
Night goose. Night goose.
Honk.
Exactly. What would you be?
No, I like the sound of night goose now.
Yeah, thank you.
I wasn't down
You
for that.
mocked me for for taking so long to choose it, but turns out it was actually the right answer.
But imagine, like, somebody's like standing behind someone at an ATM waiting for them to like get their money out so they can snatch it off them. And you just go next to them, and as they're about to try and snatch it, you just honk at them, scare them off, and then just chase them.
It'll be good.
Basically,
What a-
the guys
what a
who
life
made
that would be.
Untitled Goose Game, if you can go out and make Untitled Goose Vigilante,
What you need to do is just
The
put a
game.
mask on the goose.
okay, if you could just do that, then I'll be
That shouldn't
happy
take
with
too
your
much
game.
animation or whatever, or coding or whatever it is.
Surely it's fine.
John, do Wonder Woman 84.
Sure, why not?
Tell me about it. What is it? I've never heard of this movie.
So, Wonder Woman 1984 is the latest of the DC. I don't know what they call themselves anymore.
Still EU.
Is it?
This is, well, unofficially still EU.
DC.
But they've kind of, I think they've more or less acknowledged the fact that it's called the DC EU now and said, okay, well, this is kind of it now.
Basically, it's another DC superhero film, guys.
Oh, there was the Michael Keaton Batman stuff. Do we need to come out and say that? That he's going to be the DC EU's Batman?
No, he isn't.
He's not?
No. So what that was somebody tweeted he's a DC EU Batman in Flashpoint.
Right.
But people misconstrued that as being he's going to be DC's Batman going forward. Which the guy who made the original comment said, oh no, you've misunderstood what I've said here. This is me just saying for Flashpoint.
Do you think that that's also him covering the fact that he's just given away the fact
Probably.
Because I reckon they might just do that if people like it.
Batman.
Yeah, because they're not tying in the Pattinson stuff, are they?
No.
What have you got to lose at this point? Just do whatever. If you're Warner Brothers at this point, just do whatever. People hate you anyway. Just do whatever, man.
Talking about DC doing whatever. Let's talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
So, this is the second of the Wonder Woman films. I think it's like our fourth appearance of Gal Gadot as Diana Prince. We find her in 1984, kind of secluded from society following the past death of Steve Trevor. She's kind of kept herself to herself, and doesn't really kind of meet up with people. And this film's all about a guy called Max Lord, who's played by Pedro Pascal, who basically wants to have the power of wishes and the ability to kind of give people whatever they want, but also taking something in return.
Oh, a little monkey's paw situation.
Yeah, it's absolutely a monkey's paw situation. So,
Surely they should have called the character Monkey's Paw.
there is a wishing rock,
Of course there is.
and the rock basically
the Blarney Stone.
It will give you what you want, but it will
Oh, is that
take
good
something.
luck?
It will take something in return.
Like a piece of you.
Well, depends. Some people have some things, some people have other things.
Ooh.
So,
Hang on, is it like Project Power where you get, like, everyone's got a different power?
yes,
Everyone's got a different thing that gets taken.
Everyone gets a wish, and there's a point where somebody's like, "Oh,
This is like that movie, Project Power.
So many people have got Ferraris or something like that.
Okay.
Because people be like, "Oh, my wish is for a Ferrari."
Yeah.
Basically, I'm not sure what he's using that power for. He's kind of like he wants it just so he can have more power. And the film basically it follows him with this stone getting more power, Diana Prince getting Steve Trevor back. I won't tell you how.
I think I know how, but it doesn't matter.
I don't know if that's a spoiler.
If it is real the way I've heard, then it's like...
There's something problematic about the way that he comes back. There is something problematic that realistically I understand, like Patty Jenkins has been like, oh, this isn't really a problem because it's just something that happens in this genre of films, but it is still problematic the way you bring him back because of things.
It's the source code issue, is that right?
Yes, I think.
Yes. Okay.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Spoiler alert. So if you have seen Source Code and you know what the problem of that film is...
I would love to, at some point,
I would love to do a watch-along. Source Code and 1984 at the same time.
After you've seen it, even though, like, I'll get to this at the end, maybe we do a full episode on this, because I think there's a lot to talk about with this film. So... Okay, so that's kind of the plot of the film. I think I've described that very badly. This has been the worst review we've ever done so far.
No, you've told me... Right, here's what I know from what you've just told me. Maxwell Lord... Well, actually, you just called him Max Lord, but I've called him Maxwell Lord. Yeah. He's got a wishing stone, and he wants to give wishes to everyone because he gets more power from their wishes.
Mm-hmm. And
Diana Prince is working at the Smithsonian. I knew that from elsewhere. You didn't tell me that.
And
I actually got external information on this. I got that leaked to me.
She's got to stop him, but also, like, Steve Trevor's back, but also Kristen Wiig's in this as
she's got Cheetah, a co-worker.
And she is basically this kind of, oh, nobody looks at me because I wear glasses and I've got messy hair.
She's all that.
She's playing Jamie Foxx as Electro sort of thing, like this kind of, I'm a klutz and I've got frizzy hair and men don't even look in my direction because I'm a little bit clumsy.
That was his issue as well. Like, men don't look in his direction.
You know, in her first scene, she's dropping papers all over the floor and nobody's helping her. But, you know, suddenly she gets more confident and better, you know, because of superpowers.
And then...
and maybe she's going to be also a problem for Diana Prince. And maybe there's just too many threads in this film for all of these characters to get justice. Now,
League.
I think the start of this film is okay.
Yes.
Like, there's film scare stuff at the beginning, which is nice. But also has no real connection apart from a really ham-fisted kind of moral message towards the end of the film. But it is... Like I said, it looks great because it's really great seeing that Femascara stuff. It was some of the best stuff in Wonder Woman. It still looks great. But also, it could have been cut. And for a film that is 2.5 hours long and feels 2.5 hours long, but also feels like it's not long enough to give justice to everything in it, this is a problem. Like, you can just get rid of it. It then goes to a scene within a shopping centre right at the beginning.
Okay.
And I was watching it and I was like, this reminds me of Donna's Superman. Like, it is campy. It is kind of breezy. It's kind of fun, but at times eye-rolling. But I feel that's kind of the line you kind of walk when you're doing that sort of idealistic sort of
But when your universe has been trying to distance itself from that kind of superheroism...
Like, there's a point where...
does that fit?
There was a point... Where,
or do you blame it entirely on the 1980s angle?
So I'll get onto that in a second.
Well, this is going to be the longest review you've ever done.
There was a point where she pushes a man... She saves a kid.
Yes.
She turns and winks to that child, who winks back at her.
Great, I love it.
And then she pushes a man through a drum, but he gets caught up in the drum, the wheel ring of the drum, and spins in it like one of those gyroscope rides at a theme park. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, it's kind of fun, but it's really weird. Like, tonally, it is strange from what I've seen in this universe so far. Of all of the other movies, this seems kind of really out of place. And is especially out of place in the rest of this film, because it doesn't have the same tone. It has these moments that are really campy and really silly. And sometimes the CGI doesn't hold up to support that. And it's really weird. And at times it has this kind of like darkness and it has this kind of heart. And I think Maxwell Lord is a very interesting villain because he's not a villain who... His end game isn't really to be powerful. He's a villain in essence of the fact that he just wants to win at something. Like, it's almost a sympathetic character of being like, this is somebody who has had many years of his life being downtrodden and just wants to have a win. And he's found his way to do that. Through reasons in the plot, he's found a way to make it so he can win. In a weird way, it's almost like Sandler and Uncut Gems. Of just being like, you kind of go, I want this guy to win something because it's obvious that he's not had that. And he's tried so much and it's just not worked for him. But it's not that he's a bad guy. In Maxwell Lord's case, it's that he's just kind of desperate now.
Okay.
And, he's got a kid who he just wants to be a good dad to. And I think that's an interesting twist on the villain formula. But at the same time, the film does stuff that is just stupid. Like, really stupid. And the ending of this film makes no sense because it wouldn't work. So the way everything is rectified wouldn't work. Because when you think about it for 2 minutes longer than what the film gives you, you go, no, I don't think that's kind of how this works. The 80s aspect,
yes,
I have no idea why it's 80s. Like, does it have 80s music? I think it has one song at the beginning. The rest of the score is just generic superhero fare, and it isn't actually that great, and it even steals music from better films that are so recognisable it takes you out of the movie. But it doesn't seem like it needs to be in the 80s. It's almost there as if to go, we need to bring Steve Trevor back. But also, didn't the Fisher Award thing work really well with Diana in the first one? What if we did that in reverse? And that seems to be the only reason it's here. There's inconsistencies in the character of... It's almost like the people who wrote this film haven't seen Batman vs. Superman or Justice League.
Right.
Because there are inconsistencies in what she can do now in comparison to what she can do then. The film for me it's a mess.
Yeah.
Like, it's really messy, it's inconsistent, it's unclear, it has too much going on but doesn't focus enough time on the stuff that's interesting or stuff that you really need as an audience member. I think Gal Gadot is still great as Wonder Woman at times. At times it's almost like they're pushing her too far in going, okay, we need you to do this now, and it's almost like that's just not there.
Yeah.
Like, some of the emotional beats do hit kind of dull notes.
Okay.
Chris Pine is great. I really like Chris Pine. I think I just like him. But it does seem like this is just Chris Pine on kind of goofy mode a bit like his Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Where it's just it seems like an easy role for him to be able to play. Just like, oh, he's a bit of a goofball, but also he's kind of good at what he does. Overall, I don't really like this film.
Okay.
I think it just misses in a lot of beats. And I do think that if it had committed one way or the other to a tone, maybe it would have worked better. If it did go for the whole thing of being this Donna like tone of this kind of cheesy, campy kind of thing, maybe it would have worked better because it would have been consistent at least.
Yeah.
But I do think it misses a lot of what the previous one had, and it kind of... I didn't enjoy it. It is long. And like I said to you when I was watching it, I think you will hate this movie. And it's not often I get to say that to you. Normally it's the other way round. But I don't think you will enjoy it. Because I think it's got all of the worst hallmarks of superhero films that you don't like.
Okay, I can't wait. It sounds great.
It's a would not recommend. Like, there'll be people who probably love it.
And yet you also want to do a full episode on it.
Because there's a lot of stuff that are spoilers that I would love to talk to you about. Yeah, there's a lot to say.
Themyscira sounds like a skincare range. Okay. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So this is a film which is on Netflix. Award season hopeful, I think, is the words to describe it. So, sort of, kind of following on from Fences in whenever that was, 2016, 2017, Denzel Washington has basically the deal to produce all of August Wilson's plays into films. A 10-picture deal, I believe it is. So this is the second of those, as far as I know. Directed by George C. Wolfe this time instead of Denzel Washington, who was originally going to direct and then stepped back. Starring Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. So it's the story of a recording session in 1927 in Chicago. Ma Rainey, who's a sort of huge titan figure within the world of the blues, and recording her latest songs. and Chadwick Boseman plays the trumpeter in her band who has sort of ideas for his own life and where he sees his career going, and whether he actually needs her as much as she needs him, and whether she needs him as much as he needs her. So it follows, it's basically this one recording session on this one day, and it follows the sort of trials and tribulations of the various standoffs that happen within that day. And that's that.
Yeah.
That's what we've got. So yeah, like I said, this is seen as a big awards contender, and I think without doubt those two central performances, I think, will get nominations at the very least.
Yeah,
and I think, completely deserving of it. They are really good performances. Viola Davis really just owns the screen whenever she's on it. And it's interesting because if I compare this to Fences, which, I mean, both suffer from the same problem, but this one doesn't suffer from the same problem that Fences did with its performances. I don't think the performances necessarily feel stagey, whereas they did in Fences. They felt very sort of showy and blustery. Whereas this is a different type. Viola Davis is big because the character is big.
Yeah.
Not because it feels like a play. And I think Chadwick Boseman has some really nice moments. There's a lot of his dialogue that's actually monologues, and that's where I think it falls down in the writing.
Do you think, though, the film was stagey, though? Because at times it did feel like conversation, monologue, conversation, monologue. And that reminded me of theatre. It's
the difficulty, I think, that you always have when you're adapting a play. And I think it doesn't work more than it does. In terms of whenever you see an adaptation of a play, there's a higher percentage chance that it just hasn't worked as an adaptation than it has. If you look at something like Glengarry Glen Ross, it kind of works as a film as well as working as a play. Whereas this feels like I'm watching something that is very deliberately an adaptation of a theatre production.
Yeah.
And that's due to the way it's written, because I think they've tried to stay as true to that as possible, which is fine. I don't mind you trying to stick to your principles, but it does suffer for it. And I think particularly their scenes in the sort of band's rehearsal room downstairs, those bits do feel like it's just like, well, okay, I'm just watching a play. And it's not to do with like a single location issue or anything like that. It's to do with the fact that the writing is written like a series of monologues, and it doesn't feel particularly, there's some nice dialogue between those characters downstairs, and I think, you buy in. I think all the performances are good.
Yeah. I agree.
But I think there's a fundamental problem when you're adapting a play, is that you can fall into this trap of adapting it slightly too loyally, and therefore you lose some of the cinematic edge of it. Because there is a way that you can make this work, I think. It's just the way in which particularly Chadwick Boseman's character is written makes it feel like you're watching this play.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, Chadwick Boseman, I think, is phenomenal in this. Like, he's so good. But I did find myself being like, oh, here comes another monologue.
Yeah.
Like, here comes another moment for him. And I was less focused on what was happening and more focused on the structure and how it was working.
Yeah.
Like, I could see the cogs of the machine rather than appreciating how the machine works.
I think, when it comes to it, in terms of those performances, I think they are great, and they will get those nominations without doubt. And I think Chadwick Boseman's still odds-on favourite for the Best Actor. I know Best Actress is a very tightly contested category this year, but it does feel like, even aside from the fact that it's his final role, his final film role, it does feel like, well, isn't it fitting that yet again he puts in another really good performance, and this is how he's remembered, in that he's never put in a performance to me that I've seen him give that feels like it's lackluster.
Even in 21 Bridges and Tunnels, he was.
In the 20 minutes I saw of that, he was good. But yeah, going back to things like Get On Up and 42, there's some really great stuff that he's done, and this is just another performance where you go, oh, okay, you're doing another really terrific performance here.
It makes you realise what you lost.
Yeah, of course.
He's somebody who should be celebrated because of what he brought.
Yeah. I mean, this is the problem, is that the film itself, I feel like, is fine.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and I think, for the performances alone, it feels like those two performances alone are enough to salvage that film from being something where I'd go, I don't know if it's worth your time. I think it's, if for nothing else, watch the film for the performances, because it is... So I'd say that on the whole, it's kind of a that'll do pig.
Mine will be a that'll do pig.
I think those performances are good enough that I would want people to see those performances.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm there like, I don't know a lot of people I would recommend this film to for the film. Because I don't know many people I know who would enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
But I do think people should see the performances, but you can't really see them outside of the construct of the film.
It's got to be within the context of that. So I'm saying it's a would recommend on the basis of, I think the performances are good enough that...
If you are interested in this, go watch it. That's my recommendation. Okay. I'm not going to be like, oh, go and do it. But yeah.
Okay, finally this week, Soul, which was...
But by no means least.
Yes, correct. That is true. Thank you.
Just
getting into a groove of things, and then...
Just what I needed.
There's another voice here. What's he going on about?
Just what I needed to say something. I thought you'd appreciate my voice.
Okay. What else do you want to say?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Sometimes doing this podcast is hard work, I think. A lot of people would say, oh man, doing a podcast must be your dream job. Yeah, well, if it's not your job, it's your hobby, and also you kind of have to do it with someone who tests your patience. A
lot of people are there going, well, working with Andy, that must be a great experience every single day. I hate it. I can't imagine what you think.
So Soul was released on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. So this is the latest Pixar movie, directed by Pete Docter, who's sort of been behind a lot of their recent successes and affiliated with the company going back to the days of Toy Story original. Co-directed by Kent Powers, and cast including Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, Rachel House. A lot of good people in this. Story follows middle school music teacher Joe Gardner, who has to reunite his soul and his body after they are separated when he dies. Mm-hmm. And he decides he's not ready for that. And in order to... there is a thing that must be done while he's in the Great Before. Great Before? Yes.
Yeah.
There's a thing that needs to be done in the Great Before where he has to basically train up a soul to be ready to enter Earth in order for that soul to then start their life and in order for him to be a mentor.
Yeah.
And that's the story.
Yeah.
Without giving too much more away, I think. Yeah, I don't know if I want to say anything else.
No, I think that
so the story takes place between New York City and the Great Before, as a sort of split narrative thing.
Yeah, and it's all about kind of finding your purpose, really.
Yeah.
Love it. Really love this film.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's really well. Like you said earlier, let's start with the basics and say it's Pixar, so you know that you're getting good animation.
Yeah.
That's happening. Whether you like it or not, you're going to get good animation.
Yeah.
But I also feel this film does some really nice stuff about kind of what you feel as a person. And almost like it deals with like feelings like ennui and stuff like that. Of just like feeling kind of mentally out of yourself.
Yeah.
It deals with kind of enjoying the little things, finding those moments in life that are almost like perfection for you, even when it's just something simple.
Yeah.
It deals with this kind of quite big kind of existential questions, and while it doesn't answer them, it kind of gives, like, this is this film's kind of way of doing it.
Yeah.
Now, I know you and me disagreed on something when we spoke briefly about this, which was, I said, I think this is a film that is more geared for an adult audience. I'm not sure whether there will be many kids that will get the same kind of thing out of it, because I think it deals with issues that are more adult, but at the same time isn't as kind of maybe visually exciting as, you know, it's not got like these kind of wild Toy Story like adventures.
Yeah.
And I know that's not something that you agree with completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Pixar do at their best, and I don't think this is their best, and I don't think it does what, say, Inside Out does really well, which is it strips down everything. That's what Inside Out does. It strips down everything to a very base level and just goes, right, okay, so this is what we're trying to explore here, and this is how we're going to explore it. And I think it explores it in a better way than this does. I think this one raises really good sort of questions and ideological sort of ideas of, oh, well, what is the importance of having a purpose? Is a purpose necessary for you to have a life, or is it something that you can find on your way through and still maintain to, you know, still have the life aside from the purpose? And I think what it does really well is it raises it in the same way that the best Pixar movies, and, you know, this is very much in the category of that top end of Pixar movie. It's not an Onward, because I think Onward did fail to do what it was trying to do, because I think Onward was more trying to tell a story that was based in a fantasy land than be anything else. And whenever you've got two Pixar films in the same year, I always feel like one of them is going to be The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kind of, I think this really raises them in an interesting way, and it's something where I think you can potentially, you know, I don't have kids, so I don't know, but I think there is plenty of stuff in here for the kids. I think the sort of the design of the Great Before will be really intriguing to them. And if it makes them ask questions about sort of, oh, well, what's that film kind of about? It can still have some kind of an impact, I think, in terms of what it's trying to explore. Pixar have always set themselves out to be films for everyone, and I think there is something for everyone in this, in the same way that there is in Inside Out, in the same way that there is in Coco, in the same way that there is in Up.
Absolutely. And I do agree with that, but I think, like, say, use that example, those examples, like, Coco is visually stunning.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's beautiful. And I think you could watch that film without kind of focusing on the themes of what that film's about. Like, I think there's still this kind of like visual kind of identity of Coco. This, I think it's quite a realistic looking film. In a sense.
Sure.
And I think
the fact that it's set in reality for the majority of it, yes, I can understand that. But at the same time, I think it marries the two really well.
This isn't a slight on it at all, by the way, because I do think, like, this is one of my favourite films of the year. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I do think, you could, it's an animation that you could show to kids and they'd probably enjoy it. But I do think, like, I don't know, I almost felt like this was, almost like it was geared for me. Like, it was maybe leaning towards the kind of...
Well, maybe that's the thing, is that you feel like it's geared towards you. I feel like it's geared towards an audience of everyone, a universal audience. Maybe that's just you experiencing it on an individual level, and it will work. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, it's just me who's watched it, and I can't say that a child would get the same thing out of it. And I don't think they would get the same thing. They'd get something different. But that's exactly the same with Inside Out. That's exactly the same with Coco. You know, Coco deals with very dark themes and some big questions, as does Inside Out, as does Up. And all of them, I mean, Toy Story 3 deals with those themes. Toy Story 4 deals with these themes. They've never been a company that strayed away from asking those questions on a level that can be comprehended by kids and also explained by adults to those kids in terms of what those can mean in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I think they do really well. I mean, for me, it's, you know, it's in their top end of films. I don't think it comes close to Inside Out's purity, but I think it does something really well in that it tells a story in a really engaging way of being able to straddle what it is to have a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, this is nothing new for them. They've been doing this for 25 years now.
And this thing, and like this point I'm bringing up is only because it's like, it's just, I think it's such an interesting point to discuss because it is kind of a point of difference we have. But at the same time, I think we both agree like it's a really well put together film. I think it's one of those that like it played a lot of my emotions. Like it made me laugh, it made me tear up, it made me kind of exhilarated. I think, you know, it's a really great film for kind of bringing everything to the table. It's one of the only films I've seen like in an animated film that deals with the idea of kind of obsession. I think Graham Norton's great in this as well.
Yeah, he's really fun. His character is a great character.
It's like a voice that we recognise fairly well because obviously being British, he's from here. So it's a voice that I recognised really kind of instantly, and it's not somebody who I'd expect a really kind of fun kind of character like that from. So it's quite an interesting kind of choice for them to pick him.
Yeah,
but it was really nice at the same time because it worked really well. But yeah, I just really, really like it. I think it deals with those kind of things that I'm glad it does, and at the same time does it competently, does it really well. It is fun, and it looks incredible. Like all of the character models, all of the locations, all of that kind of stuff in the kind of the beyond and the kind of fantastical kind of stuff. Yeah. All looks incredible for me. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really, really had a lot of fun watching this. Yeah.
It's very good. So that's a would recommend from both of us on this.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's it. That's all. No more.
We did an episode, guys. You said we wouldn't.
We did a whole episode. We'll see how much gets cut.
We went and
might just cut the first 25 minutes. Get rid of it all.
Just cut the first hour.
No need for gaming news.
No, we got to keep that, guys. Don't worry, guys. Gaming news will be back next week.
So, in the meantime, you can find us on Facebook and on iTunes. No, not iTunes.
Well, everywhere you can get a podcast.
Find us where you get podcasts. Find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Twitter, we're at DinosaurMan15. Everywhere else, apart from Instagram, where we're also DinosaurMan15.
Everywhere else, Dinosaur Man Podcast.
Yes. John and you did the theme song.
Yes.
You were the host.
And you were also the host.
I was.
And until next time, guys.
I don't have anything. I don't have a stinger. Sorry. I'm like a bee after it's died. No stinger.
Until next time, guys. Chapter 4. How Weird Al Got His Hair.
I actually do think this is our best idea ever. I know you're thinking this is a joke, but we're going to do that. That's next week's episode, Chapter 1.
Bye, miss you, bye.